Hello, this is just a quick video review of the instructions just in case you prefer the clarification for our assignment. For our learning summary, the idea is I want you to tell me about all the things that you've learned while I've been gone, while I've been absent. Right now, what you're seeing is what the entire page should look like if you're looking at Schoology, but let's zoom in and look at specific things. The very first thing that I need you to note is that this is going to count as an assessment grade, and there is a rubric that tells you how I'm going to grade it. So it is very important that you complete this fully and according to the instructions. You're going to have a Google Doc. The Google Doc I'll show you in just a bit. But for each topic in the Google Doc, I want you to write a paragraph about what you have learned during my absence. You need to summarize the topic, give specific examples of things you've learned, and you're also going to have to tell me how it's affecting you in real life. Other things that you need to note is that answers need to be in complete sentences, and each answer should be at least 4 to 5 sentences. So, in terms of paragraph answers, you need 4 to 5 sentences, and here's the breakdown of how they should be. Sentence number 1 or 2, however many you use, I want you to either summarize what the topic is about or define it in your own words. I don't want you to copy and paste. I want you to tell me in your own words what the topic is, or just summarize a general idea of it. After you've done that, you're going to give specific examples of things you've learned. I want you to tell me very specifically exactly what those things are. The topics are broad enough. There's plenty of stuff you should have to pull from. Number 3, here's the important one. I want you to tell me how these specific examples from number 2 are going to impact you. Now, all of this information that I have right here, this in class, other parts of life in the future, in college, in careers, whatever, those are just examples of things that you may choose to when it would impact you. All right, you don't have to answer for every single one of these, um, but it just helps narrow it down to give you an idea of what I'm looking for. So let's take a look at our topics. Number 1, what is engineering and what do engineers do? Number 2, the different types of engineering. That's what we mean by disciplines. What are the different studies that you could do in engineering? Number 3, tell me about engineering and STEM careers. Number 4, I want you to tell me about the design process. And number 5, robot ethics, future cities, job automation, all that. These are basically the Nearpods right here. So what did you learn? What's something that you could get from those? So let's look at one of these just so I can break it down and tell you what I mean. Let's choose the Nearpods. So for any of these, number 1, summarize kind of the idea behind these. Just overall, what's the idea? For number 2, you'll then give me a couple of sentences about some specific things that you learned in these topics. Now, those specific things may be something that like you didn't know before, that stood out to you, anything like that. And then you're going to describe the impact of these. A real good one for the Nearpod specifically is in the future, as you grow up, how might some of these things affect you? That will give you your 4 to 5 sentences topic done. So let's take a look down here at our rubric. Now, the rubric is cut off here because I'm not on a dynamic web page. You can't scroll, but it follows a pattern. You can figure out the rest here. So number one, we're grading on content. For a 5, all of the categories, all of the topics have specific examples of things that the student has learned. Now let's just take a look here and I'll show you the pattern. So for instance, for a 5, all categories contain this because there's 5 topics. For a 4, 4 categories contain it. For a 3, 3 categories. For a 2, 2 categories. So for a 1, it would be a 1 category has whatever the criteria is, and a 0 means missing. So let's move on through our criteria. Topic summary. For a 5, all categories have at least 1 sentence summary of the topic. And that way you're either describing what the topic is or you're defining the topic. That should be your lead off sentence. All right. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 goes on following the same pattern as before. Next criteria, real world impact. For a 5, all topics are answered with how they could impact the student. That's you. Once again, your real world impact can be any of these things here described in 3. All right. Or, you know, how could it apply in the real world? That could be another one as well. But I need some way for you to tie what you have learned into what's going on in life. Next criteria, topic length. All categories contain paragraphs of sufficient length to demonstrate learning. AKA, you have given me are 4 to 5 sentences, and the 4 to 5 sentences show that you know something. Let's go down to our final criteria. Complete sentences. All topics contain complete sentences. I don't want you to just give me a list. I don't want you to give me a random jumble of thoughts. I would like complete sentences on each of these topics. So now that we have the summary, let's take a look at the actual document. Here's the actual document. Now, if you'll notice, the document basically says the exact same thing that I just went over. So I'm not going to go over all that again. But you have your instructions up here at the top. That's what we've talked about. I have a link to the rubric right here. And then the final thing that you're going to notice, and there's not a link up yet because I'm making this as I'm going over it. Here is the YouTube video of me reviewing the instructions. So I'll put the link to that as well. Below that, in the section that is circled in blue, here's where all your answers go. Please notice that you have these boxes, and in those boxes, these are where you type your answers. All right. They should already be formatted with a different color to make it easy for me to read. And once you have finished typing your 4 to 5 sentences for every document, for every topic, please turn in your document and you will be finished.